Hello, everyone. I think, yes, I'm actually live, and I want to welcome you and thank you for your time for being here with us. I know it's been a while since we did actually a webinar for our customers, particularly in the Caribbean. So I want to welcome you. I'd like you to, if you can type it in the chat, where you're from, where are you at, company, your name, so I can say hi to you guys. I like you. I like this to be interactive, that we can share with each other, ask your questions, type it in, and let's get this started. So the purpose of this live actually is to answer some of your questions, and again, that's what I'm saying. Type it in so that I can see who you are, see where you're texting, you're chatting, you're sending your questions from, and we can all be in sync in doing this Q&A together. Um, a little introduction before I actually jump into your questions. We're doing well at Lennox. Everyone in the team is doing well. We are safe. We are healthy, and as most of you know, we've been working from home in the past 7 weeks already, maybe 8. I don't know how many weeks we'll be working from home already so far, but yeah, we're all staying healthy and moving forward. Uh, so I see Tropical Cool from Curacao. Hey, it's probably Barry. Hey Barry, how are you? Don't know if it's Barry Junior or Senior, but hello to you guys. I have Hugo from El Salvador, and hey Hugo, and I guess you understand English, so just hello there. And anybody else? I see a few people connected, and I like you to again to type it in where you're connecting from, and so I can say hi to you. A little housekeeping. Remember that we have a new, or not actually an updated version of the brochure. So send us your email, and we'll make sure that you receive a copy so you can download a digital copy on this. Jorge, hey Jorge, how are you? We were just texting, so I'm glad that you joined us, and hello there. So yeah, once again, we have this brochure. Send us your email. You can type it in the chat, and we'll make sure that you get a copy of this brochure within the next few days. It has a quick summary on the new products, particularly if you haven't heard from us or you haven't seen our emails. We recently spoke and launched, it's sort of like a soft launch on the Solar VRF. It's already available. Dane, how are you, Dane? Down in Jamaica. Hello to you guys, and I hope the whole team is connected and actually spending a little time with us. So we have Solar VRF. We have a few of these in stock, actually in Miami. We're waiting to see where we can launch this product for the first time, where we can actually install it. So it's here. We also have water cool VRF, also available. We have some of these in stock as well. And particularly on the mini VRF side, some products that we recently launched, the cooling only mini VRF goes from 2 to 5 tons. It's an amazing product. It has the same technology that we have, compatible with all of our indoor units, controllers, branches. So it's pretty much the same VRF technology, but it's cooling only, particularly for you guys in the Caribbean. Price is amazing. So make sure that get more information from us if you're interested in this, and get it rolling. Also, we have what we call the picture is actually not here, but we have what we call a single fan mini VRF heat pump. In case you're looking for a heat pump option, it goes from 2 to 4 tons, 2 to 4 tons. So we don't have a 5 ton. It's a single fan, looks like a mini split, but it's actually powered with all the Lennox VRF technology in the unit. So that's what we have, and on the condensing units and on the evaporators, new products as well. We have the new what we call the A-Way cassette or 303 cassette. is already in the stock as well. Um, the Just so you guys know, the standard four-way cassette and the compact four-way cassette is going to be phasing out at the end of July. We the next few months, but start switching, start looking into options where you can put the eight-way cassette. If I'm having issues in the connection, let me know so I can maybe stop and get it going. Um, Also, we have the new, well, not actually new, it's been actually out for a while. The super high ESP fan coil, a better ESP range, pressure drop range, and also what we're launching a medium static fan coil. So again, controllers. We launched also at the end of last year what we call a two-in-one adapter. It's a small device that can do the option of connecting our VRF with any third-party smart thermostat. I mean, any thermostat in essence, but the idea is to be able to give the option to control our VRF with any thermostat, any brand, even our own Lennox M30 smart thermostat. You can connect it to a Lennox VRF, and it will do the job. And the same device is also a dry contact. So any dry contact device, anything that you want to adapt to the units, to put with the units, you can use the same device. And we also have a new wire controller. Again, it's also been out for a while, but this wire controller has the same look as our standard wire controller that comes with the ducted units, but it's programmable. And the best feature of it all is that if you guys are familiar with the standard controller, that you can do some combinations of buttons and get information from the condensing units, the compressor frequency, the fan, compressor fan frequency, temperature readings on the sensors, and all that. We can do the same on this. The difference is that on this new controller, it's actually a text that you read as opposed to reading a code that then you need the book to look at what the code means. On this controller, you can actually see the text of what it means, and you can see the setting, and you can adjust, you can change some of the settings. Others are just to read, to see, to view the parameters. So it's a very cool and very good option for a wire controller. And also we have an updated version of our Lennox selection software. We launched this version at the end of last year, and I launched it as a 2.0. Right now we are in the 2.4, I believe. So if you haven't received that, again, send us your email, type it in, or if you have my email, you can send it to me directly. If you have Vivian's email, by the way, Vivian is the one handling the chat right now. So say hi to Vivian as well, and thanks for her help. You can send an email to Vivian so that we get your information and send you the newer version of the selection software. So I want you guys to download it, start using it. On this version of the selection software, you can select the new mini VRF cooling only, also the new mini VRF heat pump single fan, and also the side discharge three-phase 6, 8, and 10 tons, as well as all the other new evaporators and new condensing units that we launched. Also, this is my friend. This is my VRF Bible. This is the engineering handbook. So if when you guys ask me a question, a technical question, I mean, some of this I already know by because I do it all the time. But when I don't know the answer, the first thing that I do is look at this book. This book was printed back in 2017, and some of the newer models are not on this book. However, the core of the technology, the core or the main diagnostic of information and error codes and installation information that you need is here. The basic information is here. So again, when you guys ask me a question and I don't know the answer. So what do I do? I look at this book. So if you don't have a copy of this book, again, send us your email as well. Make sure that you type it in the chat, or just Vivian just typed in her email. You can send an email to her. You can send an email to me if you have my email. I will send you a link to download this book. This is called the engineering handbook, or the service manual, or I call it just my book, my Bible. So make sure that you get a copy of this book as well. So let's see who else is in the chat. We have someone for on. I don't want to pronounce his name incorrectly. I guess it's Rajendra. And well, don't know where you're from. If you type it in, so we know where you're connecting from. We'd like to say hi to you, and I don't know the company that you're from, and the island that you're connecting from. So yeah, this book again. Send us your email for selection software. Send us your email for the brochure. Send us your email for the book. And any other questions, again, you can send an email to me directly, or also to Vivian, and we'll help you out. You can also contact your TM, and we'll work together and make sure that you get all the information. So let's jump into the first question that we received. And the question is, what is what is the purpose of the master indoor unit? What is the purpose of the master indoor unit? And very simple, every system must have a master indoor unit set. And the purpose of this unit is to determine which operation mode the system is going to run on. So if the master unit is set on cooling mode, then the whole system is going to operate on cooling mode. If the master is set on heating mode, then the whole system is going to operate on heating mode. Now, one thing about our system though is that if everything is running in cooling mode and you set the master into heating mode, then the rest of the system is simply going to go into standby mode. They're not going to switch to heating mode unless you manually switch the units to heating mode, and vice versa. So, and also, if you have a system running in cooling and a non-master indoor, any other indoor that is not the master, you switch it to heating mode, this unit will go into standby mode. So it will give you a code that is set conflict mode. So what you have to do is you set it to the mode that the system is running on. Now, if you've been working with us for the past, I don't know, year, 2 years, 3 years, if you did any of our trainings, and if we have spoken on the phone, excuse me, one of the things that I recommend all the time, especially for our market and particularly the Caribbean, I don't know what's the possible time of the year when you need any heating. So what can you do? There is an option, a feature on the condensing unit that you can also do it from the controller, and you can also do it from the commissioning and startup software. You can set the system to run on cooling mode only. So this way, you don't run into any issues that somebody in the house or in the building switch the system to heating, and they start getting these conflict modes and getting phone calls, and they'll have a failure, because that's what the customer always complains when they see a code on the LEDs. And to save yourself time from customers, make sure that you set the system to cooling mode only, and that way you don't run into other issues. If you don't know how to do this, the book has instructions, or send me an email and I'll walk you through on how to do the setup. Oh, you can also do it from the buttons on the condensing unit. It's a little bit more difficult because you have to push and do a few things, but it's different ways that we can skin a cat, how we say in the US. So, and the other question about the master in the unit is, how do I set it? How do I do this? So different combinations on the controller, also on the commissioning software, but very simple mode. You're gonna turn off the controller. This you can only do from the wire controller. You're gonna turn off the standard wire control, and I have a picture of this here, if you are familiar with this controller. So you're gonna turn it off, and then you're gonna press mode, the mode button for 5 seconds. Press and hold for 5 seconds, and you're gonna see on the display, you're gonna see that it shows. Um, you're gonna see the master. I'm sorry, yeah. You're gonna get a little legend. Let me see if I have here. No, at the bottom right, you're gonna see a little legend that says master. So now your controller, your unit became the master in the unit. So very simple. Turn off the controller, press and hold mode for 5 seconds, and that automatically turns this unit into the master in the unit. So that's simple. Let's see another question from the chat. If you have your questions, let's see. Okay, so somebody's asking for a copy of the software. Okay, we got your email. And we have, okay, what's the difference between the connection points D1, D2, H1, H2, G1, G2? All right, so in VRF, we have what we call the communication buses. That's the terminology that we use for communication between units and controllers and multiple devices in the system. So we have 3 communication buses in our VRF. We have D1, D2. D1, D2 is the system bus. The system bus is how the system communicates. And when I'm talking about a system, I talk about the combination between the condensers and all my evaporators. So either I have 1 condenser and 20 evaporators, or 4 condensers and 10 evaporators, whatever the case might be. These units communicate through D1, D2. So for the whole system to operate, for the whole system to communicate, you have to run a wire, a cable from D1, D2 to the next condenser, to the next condenser, to the next condenser, maximum of 4, and then to all your evaporators. At the end of the circuit, I always recommend installing the resistor, 120 ohms. Every condensing unit brings the little resistor in the accessory bag. Don't throw it away. The resistor is there. So put it at the end of the circuit. So this is communication bus D1, D2. Then we have H1, H2. This is what I call the local communication bus. And I'm talking about local between the evaporator and my controller. So, and I'm talking about wire controller. So for my communication to run from this controller to my evaporator is through H1, H2. Once I connect my controller to this single evaporator, there is only communication going back and forth between this and the evaporator. However, because of the advanced communication on our wire controller, we're able to see communication from the systems, particularly from the condensing units. So that's why this wire controller is so powerful, because you're able to see everything that's happening on the condenser side, compressor of the frequency of the compressors, speed of the motors, sensor temperature readings on the sensors, and opening of the expansion valves, everything from this single device. But it happens through local communication bus H1, H2. Oh, another thing about the controller. I always say controller because it's not a thermostat. And I always emphasize on this because many people call me that they want a thermostat, and I keep asking, you want a thermostat or you want a controller? So it's a controller. I know they look the same, they may do the same, but the technology behind it is completely different. So make sure that we call it controllers. And that's just me. If you want to keep calling thermostat, then it's fine. It's just that I myself call it controllers because they're not a thermostat. And G1, G2. G1, G2 is what I call global communication bus. And this means that I'm going to connect, or I'm going to wire my system with something external to this system. And it could be another system, or it could be some sort of a BMS that I can do through BACnet or Modbus, or but those are the most popular, and those are the 2 that we have. So G1, G2 is global. Anything outside my system that I want to connect to be able to see my system. So to repeat myself, D1, D2, system communication bus, H1, H2, local, controller, and evaporator, and G1, G2 is the global. Another thing about the local communication bus on our controllers, all of our controllers, you can connect up to 16 evaporators to the same controller. Now, it's not a centralized controller. It's not going to do independent control for each evaporator. It's going to be one setting for all. So whether I have 1 evaporator, 2 or 16 evaporators. All of them are going to run on the same setting at the same time. That's because it's a localized controller. So if you want independent controller, then you need a centralized controller that we also have three of those. You connect it to the system on D1, D2, because now you want to see the whole system. And that way you can independently control each one of the evaporators. All right, so that's that for the communication points. Let's see if we have another question. It says, any recommendation on filters for VRF indoor units during COVID-19? Recommendation on filters. Well, I want to say this. When we're talking about air treatment, this is sort of a completely different industry or field to what we do in HVAC. So filters and UV lights and all this sort of stuff, it's in a sense like a whole new world, a whole completely different world. So I don't have expertise, to be honest with you, on what's recommended. Now, from what I read in the past few weeks, because now everyone is talking about it, they're recommending at least MERV 13 filters. Now, this applies to obviously ducted systems. If you have a ductless, such as a cassette, a high wall, or a floor ceiling universal mount, then you really can do much. So for ducted system, they recommended MERV 13 and UV light, but that's mostly for the ductwork and the way you treat the air and all the air distribution. So that doesn't really apply to VRF. It just applies to the way you're ducting your system and the way you're treating your air and distributing the air in the space. So don't want to say much because one, I don't have expertise on IAQ, and two, because it really depends on the application. It also depends on the ductwork. It depends on where you are, what you're doing, what you want to do with it. So that's again something else that we should be looking at it too, or actually asking the experts. Let me just say it that way. Put a bigger caution sign on the resistor. Many technicians misplace it. I emphasize it all the time. Don't throw accessories away. They're there for a reason. I don't understand why they do that, but thanks. Yes, we have emphasized it a lot, and we're gonna keep talking about it. I don't know for how much longer until everyone gets familiar or actually gets the habit of keeping the accessories all the way to the end. Another question, can I install a thermostat from a different brand to the Lennox VRF units? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. I just mentioned about a device that we have. It's called an adapter. We call it an adapter, 24-volt adapter. It's very inexpensive. Actually, the most expensive part is the thermostat itself that you want to purchase, which I'm guessing people are going for the Nest and the what's the other one? The Honeywell ones that are so fancy that you can do so many things with it. Even if you are into automation that use the Lutron and what's the other one? Q4, I believe is the other brand. You know, all those fancy thermostats, as long as they are 24 volts and have all your wires, Y, C, G, G1, G2, G3, if you have those, or Y1 and Y2 if it's two stage. Yes, all those fancy thermostats, you can plug it into our device, and from there you're going to connect two wires, D1, D2 to the evaporator, and that way you have your fancy thermostat be able to control our VRF evaporator. So yes, you can do that. It's a good addition that we added to our controls lineup at the end of last year. We have sold plenty of those so far, and we're looking ahead into selling a lot more because it's a common request. Many, especially for houses, they want to use all this automation in your house, or they want to use all these ecosystems, as they're called, for Apple HomeKit or for what's the other one? Well, all these fancy tech stuff that is going out there. You can plug it into our system with a simple device. Another question. Can I connect two wire controllers to the same evaporator? The answer is yes. Yes, you can. You can do one or two. Actually, for those of you, I don't know how many I have spoken with in the past, I don't know, a year or so. I have a mini VRF, obviously Lennox mini VRF installed in my house, and in one of the I have a ducted unit that is has ductwork for two different rooms. Each room has one is my kids' room, and the other one is my office, my home office. So I have two controllers, one in the office, the other one in the kids' room. So that way, either I'm in one room or the other, I can turn it on and off, or set the temperatures or make whatever changes I want depending on the room that I'm in. So it's a cool feature. It's actually very useful. In my case, I love it because I don't have to step to the other room to turn it on and off, uh, and I use it all the time. So another good feature about it is that in case it's I don't know, a hallway or a big room, or I don't know which other application that might be, and you don't want to walk across the hallway to turn it on or off, you can just put two in different sides, and from there you can change settings on the unit. So you can do that. Keep in mind that when you do the connection, it's going to be in parallel. So when you do that connection, H1, H2, remember all the controllers always H1, H2, the local controllers, centralized D1, D2. When you do that, you're gonna get a code, an error code on the controllers. That is communication error code. That's because you have two controllers wired to a single evaporator. So the code, if you go to the manual, says that it's a conflict on the number of evaporators. So there's instructions on the manual on you have to go to one of the controllers and set it as master controller first, and then the other option is that you have to tell the system or tell the evaporator that you have two controllers wired to the same evaporator. So keep that in mind. When you do that, you're gonna get an error code. So make sure that you follow the steps. Set a master controller and tell the unit that you have two controllers wired to the same unit. Okay, let's see another question. I got a question by text on my actually through WhatsApp. If the new selection software has the newer cooling only mini VRF condensing units, and the answer is yes. So if you're designing or working on any project that is requesting the cooling only mini VRF, it's in the new software. So make sure you go there. Again, send us your email so that we can send you the information that you need. Another question that let's see if I have another question. Any questions here? Thanks, Vivian. She sent her email address again. So anyone, get that email down. If you want mine, it's jonathan.miranda@lennoxind.com. I guess I'll type it in at the end, or if Vivian can help me out and type it in so I don't stop and start typing. But I think most of you have my email anyway. So yeah. Another question is, let's see here. I think I got it in the book, and it's regarding commissioning, the commissioning cycle. So all of our systems are preset with you have to run a commissioning cycle. The commissioning cycle, what it does is it makes sure that there is communication in the system, and two, that all the components are running properly for any possible setting that you want to set it on. So it's 15 steps, actually 13, because two of those are disabled. This book has all the information for commissioning. You have to do the commissioning cycle all the time. There's no way, actually there's a way around it, but I'm not gonna tell you guys. And the reason I recommend going through this is because of making sure that our system is gonna run properly. I know many times we're in a rush, many times the customer is pushing, and many times we just want to get this over with and get it over with and go home. But listen, I strongly recommend you go through this cycle. the commissioning cycle itself is about 10-15 minutes max. And then it has what we call a test run. This test run is about, on the mini VRF is anything between 30 to 40 minutes approximately. And on the regular VRF, it takes about an hour, 50 to 60 minutes. So let it run. Don't stop it. Just make sure that you run to the commissioning cycle and then the test run. We want to make sure that the whole system runs fine. That when you go to the evaporators and you start setting the different fan speeds, the different programmable options that we have, the system runs fine. So let it run. Again, I know sometimes the customer is pressuring and you just want to get this over with, but speak to him, speak to her, and let them know that we need to do this to guarantee that the job is done properly. Uh, Another question that I'm asked frequently is about the the commissioning software. It's also here of instructions, very simple. The commissioning software, um, it shows you the whole everything that's in the system. Actually, you can see up to 16 systems. If you wire the commissioning software through G1, G2, you can see up to 16 systems in the software, and you're able to see all the parameters, all the values, all the options from a single window. You don't have to go to see controllers independently or start pushing buttons to see codes. You see everything from a single window. You can commission all the systems with a simple click from from your computer. So I strongly recommend getting the commissioning software. We also have what we call a commissioning tool. It looks like a little controller. It's touchscreen. It has its own cable. You plug it into the condensing unit, and it automatically loads up, and you can just do your commissioning. It has a way to save your information, so you can plug in a USB thumb drive into the controller and save all the information from here and keep it as a reference for the future, in case something happens, a setting happens, or something that I don't know, it was misconfigured, or someone moved something for any reason. You have a backup on your thumb drive of what the original settings were, so that you can go back and reconfigure the system according to this setting. So a very good feature, the centralized, the small commissioning tool, but you can also do it from the commissioning software. And excuse me. Another question is about the codes. Excuse me, guys. I'm okay. About the error codes or the codes in the units. One common question is, or one common comment is that the codes show a failure. And I want to tell you guys that these three different types of codes on the units, both condensing units and evaporators. It's one that we call it's one that I call the diagnostic code. Is only showing something that may be happening, something that may be causing a possible failure. So we need to look at. The other one is a status. What's happening in the system. Could be oil return. It could be what else could it be? Defrosting. Even though it's not going to happen in the islands, but that's another possible code that we get. So it's just status of the system. And the other one is failures. So three different types of codes. When a customer calls you, when a technician calls you, or when a technician calls telling you, oh, I have a failure. I have a code. Don't always think it's a failure. It could just be something that the system is telling you that is either happening or maybe happening that is causing or maybe causing a potential failure. So keep an eye on that. On this book, we have all this information for all the possible codes that may be triggered. And also keep in mind that the evaporators have a set of codes, and the condenser units also have a set of codes. So if you're gonna text me, if you're gonna send me an email with troubleshooting information, I always suggest to please send me a video of the display of the condensing unit, the three LEDs. let 1, 2, and 3. Send me a video so that I can see what's happening, and also a different picture of the display of the evaporator or the display of the controller. So that way I can see exactly what's going on, where the code is, and I can look at the correct table and I can give you the correct information. So keep an eye on that, and again, I want to be able to help you out, but I need information from the field. Always send me the model number of the product, send me the serial number, because depends on when it was manufactured. As time goes by, some little tweaks here and there are made, and I want to be able to see which product you're working on, to see which features you have, and if there's any updates or upgrades that we can make, then I'll tell you. But I always need model number and serial number. Let's see if I have any more questions. I guess not. My email is there. And all right, I think that's pretty much it. It's 12:36, and we plan for 30 minutes. Um, thank you. Thank you for joining us. We really hope at Lennox, we really hope that you guys are doing good. You guys are safe, that you guys are, um, I guess, just keeping or going by the local regulations. And we just look forward to continue working with you guys. Even though we have been working from home for the past, again, I don't know how many weeks, I think it's 8 or 9. Um, we have been able to keep up with all your requests. If there's something missing, something that we haven't sent, or something that we haven't replied to, please be patient with us, and send it to us again. Maybe this time we'll most sure we'll reply. Most of you have my cell phone number as well. You can always text me, or I'm pretty good keeping up with emails. So that way we can reply. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you on the next one, hopefully very soon. Bye.